scoot that over a little bit. I did cut this a little big, so I'm actually okay with that. So the first thing I do is lay it all down. And I think I lost my squeegee again, since this is like the third time go round. This doesn't look at you better. So let's back this thing up. There we go. That looks a little better. So what I'm doing, because I cannot find my squeegee, and I'm going to talk because it's annoying and I'll probably just mute the sound out. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the edge of my, this is just a little card that came in the mail from my polymer clay order. Just take the edge of credit card, store card, whatever you want to use. This is pretty decent plastic. I do have a legitimate squeegee, but like I said, it's MIA. And as this night's progressed, I just realized that I need to just get this done and get out of the studio before I hurt myself. So basically what I do is I take it and I go all the way to the edges, and what I'm doing is I'm burnishing that plastic or vinyl or whatever down onto the canvas. And then once I get that part done, and I do use pretty decent pressure to do that. So all I'm doing is taking the card, burnishing all my edges down. And once I get this part done, then we'll come back and I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so for this next part, I am using Deco Art Americana Premium Gloss Medium. I usually use matte, but apparently I'm out and didn't realize it. So I am using gloss this time. And basically what I do is I take a paintbrush, which I think I'm gonna use a bigger paintbrush for this one. Let's see what size this is. Oh, look. I take the medium and then I just brush over, and I know that those bristles are too long. Hold on just a second. Oops. See, I'm telling you, I need to get out of the studio. I just knocked down my yardstick. I need to get out of the studio before I hurt myself. Oh yeah, this one will work nicely. I think this is a free paintbrush that came in a Dick Blick order by accident. So it's gonna come in handy. So anyway, this nice solid handle. I have to remember the name of these. I might try some more of these. Royal Clear Choice 5700, and it's a 1/2 inch flat. So if you're interested, very nice solid thicker handle. I really like that. All right, so I am going to take some gel medium, squirt it out on my canvas, or my, I guess, plastic, since I haven't moved my pouring plastic. I just load my paintbrush up and I paint over the edges of, I guess I probably could have gotten away with the smaller brush. I go over the edges of my stencil, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's in this one is the shape of a sun. I think I said that. And I go over it a couple different ways. I'll show you that here in a second. The first time I go over it, I'm brushing in the direction of the stencil. So each of these sun rays, I am going down the whole length of the sun ray, making sure that I've covered all of the edges, especially the corners down here, because that's where it's going to leak. Excuse me. Oops. Right here on this edge, I have it. That ray cuts off right at the ridge of the canvas. So as that starts to dry, what I will do, I can use the back of a paintbrush, is I'll just take the end of a paintbrush and smooth it down and just kind of hold it there until it tacks down. And then I'll go over it one more time with some more medium. Okay, once I get the first layer on and I am confident that I've covered all my edges, the next thing I do is take some more medium and I scrub. I go back and forth this way, and then I go back and forth this way. And what that does is it forces the gel, the medium down underneath, just very slightly underneath the edges of the stencil. And once it's dry, nothing can seep past it. I shouldn't say nothing. It greatly decreases the risk there. We'll put it that way. So you can scrub it one way and then scrub it the other. Same with all of the rays. Scrub it back and forth. And you don't have to scrub it. I mean, you can brush one way, brush the other way. We already went this way and this way. So really, the cross motion is really all we have. I just find it easier and faster to scrub it. So that's what I do. There is a risk of the stencil coming up with that, and I'm aware. And then once I've done all the back and forth across, then I go back through and I smooth out everything one more time. Make sure my stencil is nice and laid flat. And it also gets rid of the excess medium that's underneath the stencil, the edges of the stencil, so that it's not excessive. And then the last thing I do is just look at it kind of in the light, which I am right now. I know for you it probably doesn't seem like it, but at an angle, and because this is a gloss medium, it's really easy to see any ridges. So I would smooth any of the ridges out. Unless you want texture in your pour, then you can leave the ridges. I prefer to keep those to a minimum, just so I can have more control on where I want texture or where I put texture after the pour or during the pour. So it's kind of my gist on that. Yeah, and then I babysit it for about 10 minutes. Like I said, I'm going to take a paintbrush and hold down the tips that are still trying to peek up, which this one, it's not going to be a big deal if this one little piece lifts. But like on my horse, which I originally did this for and forgot to record it. I'll show you that one here in a second. So that's it. Then I just let it dry until it's thoroughly dry, which I usually paint like this is the night before, and I probably won't paint until tomorrow evening. So it'll have almost a full 24 hours to dry before I do anything with it. And then in the next part of this video, it'll actually be the pour. And then the last section will be where I remove the stencil. And then at the very end, I'll show you the finished piece. Oops. See, like that one, I just bumped it. So I'll go back over it again. Make sure it's nice and adhered down. There. Dang it, I just did it again. This is a number 2 canvas from Michaels, and they have like that little extra ridge underneath, and that's what this is having trouble going over. It's just a little too short to go all the way over and too long to sit on the end. So this one's adhered down nicely, just from that little think. Yeah. Adhered down. This one's adhered down nicely, just from that little holding that I did. This one, however, is a little bit longer and it's being just a little more stubborn. So stay tuned. Next up is the actual pour. Okay, now you can kind of see from my angle how I do this. I'm sorry, it's shaky. But here's the edge of the mask. You can definitely see the edge of the sun, and you can also see where the gloss medium is. This side right here, I don't know if it's a shadow or something, because it is adhered down. It just looks like it's not. So that is a close-up of what I do, and you can also tell around here, you can tell how the gel is underneath the stencil material, holding those edges down and potentially, hopefully, preventing any seeping underneath during the pour. So there's that one, and then here's the first one that I did that I didn't record, that I forgot to record. So this is my horse. He's going to be an Icelandic horse. There's the other one. It turned out fine. I didn't like the neck. There's no definition between the neck and the mane, where this one, the neck is thinner and you can see these little hairs from the mane. So it actually looks, I think it looks better. So we'll see once it's painted. And on this one, even these small little details for the hair, when I do small details, I paint completely over them. I don't try and just get the edges. I just paint the whole thing. And again, the stuff that I use is Deco Art. They're kind of pretty, well, this is what I'm using for these. Normally I use a matte medium and it's usually golden. So I also use Blick too, which I guess I had some over there, but that's also gloss, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, that's what I use. And these edges are all, you can also see that they're very well adhered down. Kind of nervous about that. I got it under there and didn't notice it until after, so excuse me. Okay, so there's the sun. Up next, the pour for that. And then if I get this one done, I will post this one as well. These are both on 8x8 canvases. So we'll see you in a bit.